Today on the Whiskey Tornado, we review a 17-year-old Canadian whiskey. It's Found North Batch 6. Found North Batch 6 is a blend of 5 whiskeys aged 17 to 26 years. Batch 6 builds off of Batch 2 but adds 20 months of age to the core component whiskey. It is matured in new Hungarian and American oak, as well as refill and rechar ex-bourbon barrels. It is distilled and aged in Canada and comes in at a mash bill of 87% corn, 12% rye, 1% malted barley, and is 128.2 proof. Now, as I pour this, I have to be completely transparent and let you know that Found North reached out to me and sent this bottle to me, but I must say they hit my heartstrings because I can tell when a company is good people, and they didn't just copy and paste an email and send it to me and ask me to review their product. They actually, you could tell, had watched the channel, watched the shows, and even asked me how my wife was doing with her cancer treatment. So big props. I'm super impressed. I'm already loving you guys and what you're doing. It means a lot that you asked about my wife. So I'm going to be as objective as possible and review this whiskey, but I wanted to let you guys know everything up front as I review this. And we are having Nick, the founder, on with us to taste through this with some Patreon members in a couple weeks, so be looking for that. All right, here on the Whiskey Tornado, we have 7 categories. We're really just going to dive in depth on the 3 important ones: the nose, the palate, the finish, and then I will break down everything for you guys in the end. All right, let's get into the nose here. Oh, man. For those of you bourbon drinkers who say you're not into Canadian whiskey, hold on. Hold on. Oh my gosh, the nose on this is beautiful. Very sweet, dusty corn, a little bit of that cornbread kind of thing going on. But what gets me on this is like not only vanilla, like a vanilla bean ice cream is like the prominent note for me. But another big note in this, which I really love, is yellow cake batter. If you've ever made a yellow cake, my grandma used to make these pumpkin crunch cakes, and the top was just yellow cake mix with butter. It makes a heavenly crust on a cake. And that's what I get on this, that yellow buttered cake mix. God, it makes a fat kid happy, I'll tell you that. My goodness, I love this. There's also a little hint of leather on the nose, which I absolutely love. All right, guys, so we're off to a really good start for a Canadian whiskey. I'm going to give this a 0.7 on the nose. It's not just average. It's not a little better than average. This is good. We're almost to exceptional category. And if I sat here and smelled it too long, I might be able to bump it to that, but man, is it good. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 0.7. I think that's a fair score on the nose because I love me some yellow cake batter, and that's all over this. All right, moving on to the palate. Cheers, everybody. Oh yeah, man, that's good. That is really good. So that yellow cake batter is so in my mind that I get that on the palate. It's really sweet. It's but it has this like, I don't know how to describe it. It has this like dusty feeling on the mouth, maybe like cotton candy, but it tastes like if you were to mix like vanilla fair taffy with a little bit of maple syrup in there. That's kind of what I'm getting on the palate. Like some kind of vanilla cotton candy. It has this dustiness to it. This mouth feel that's like dusty, if that makes sense. Yeah. There's almost wild. There is, you guys know the first pick I did, I called melons. It was a Stellum rye pick. And this has that melon note to it, but it's cantaloupe. It's like a cantaloupe note. It's not so much of that like honeydew melon like we did on our first pick, but it's more of like a cantaloupe note. Really, really unusual. Really good. The proof on this, I think it's 128. 128.2 proof. Wow, this is good stuff. They're really good. All right, one more sip here. Yeah. I'm going to give the palate a 0.7. It's really good, and I can't believe I'm saying that about Canadian whiskey. All right, the finish on this is one area where I'm probably not going to rate it as high. The finish is more due to the proof of 128 than it is to the flavors sticking around. And it's not that the flavors don't stick around. You know, they stick around about average, but it's not an incredibly long finish. I would like it to be a little bit longer. I don't have a lot of experience with Canadian whiskey, if I'm being honest, so I'm not sure, you know, compared to other Canadian whiskeys, the finish on this might be really long, but compared to what us bourbon drinkers are used to, I would say the finish is about average. And again, it's not the flavor necessarily hanging around, it's that proof hanging around. So let me take one more sip of this. Yeah, makes me want to take another sip pretty quick. Now, some people might really love that. If you're somebody that doesn't like a really long finish, this might be your jam. And we're going to try this with water too here in a second. I do want to try it with water. But on the finish, we're going to give it an average score of 0.5. All right, before we get into the breakdown, let's add just a touch of water here and see what it does. At 128 proof, I'm really interested to know. Now, normally I'd let this sit 10 minutes, but we're just going to go ahead and taste it here. Yeah, it amped up those cantaloupe notes. That cantaloupe is, if we were doing a pick, we would call this something around cantaloupe. That's crazy. Or yellow cake batter, something along those lines. Made it sweeter. Obviously, it made the finish not as harsh, and just made everything, the cantaloupe notes, the vanilla, the yellow cake mix just amped up just a little bit. Really good with water. If you taste this and it's a little too hot at 128 proof, you're not going to hurt it by adding some water. It was really good. All right, guys, let's get to our final score for Found North Batch 6. Our first handicapped category of appearance gets a score of a 0.6. The availability on Found North is a 0.3. It's a little less than average, but availability, as always, may increase, which is why this category is handicapped. Again, the nose was much better than average with that dusty corn, vanilla bean ice cream, hints of leather, yellow cake batter. It gets a score of 0.7. The palate was really nice with that vanilla, maple, fair taffy, rich yellow cake, cotton candy, cantaloupe kind of notes. It also gets a better than average score of 0.7. The finish was good, but not great. I would like to see a little bit more of those flavors carry for a longer period of time. It gets an average score of a 0.5. With whiskey aged 17 to 26 years and non-chill filtered coming in at 128 proof, it has a really good body, and it gets a score of a 0.7. I've seen this bottle priced from $115 to $150, but considering how good the juice is inside and considering it's got 17 to 26 year whiskey, I think it's priced really well. I wouldn't say it's exceptional. I wouldn't say it's, you're getting ripped off. If I'm paying $115 to $150 for this bottle, I am happy. So we're going to give value an even score of 0.5. And that brings the total score of Found North Batch 6 whiskey to a 3.55, making it bar worthy. I got to tell you guys, when they reached out to me and sent me this bottle, I was really scared to receive it because I didn't think I would like it, knowing it was Canadian whiskey. I got to say, Nick and the guys at Found North proved me wrong. This is a really good bottle, and if you're into the flavors that I just mentioned in this review, I would definitely go find this, pick it up. All right, guys, cheers to expanding your horizons, tasting new whiskeys, and not just searching for the allocated stuff. Cheers, everybody. Nice job, Found North. That is beautiful. Love it.
Shh.